What if there was just one thing that you could do that would improve your confidence? It would increase your masculine presence, would make you feel more grounded, centered, and in control, would help you to feel calm, confident, and cool, would improve your libido and your ejaculation control abilities. The truth is that all of these can be accomplished by learning how to breathe into your balls. This is a super simple principle that all men can use 24/7 to dramatically improve their masculinity and their overall presence and groundedness in life. I'm gonna break it down in this video. I'm Jonathan White. I've helped thousands of men from around the world learn to master their sexual energy and create an epic life. Make sure you hit subscribe to stay notified when new content like this drops. And make sure you get my free ejaculation control ebook through the link in the video description below. It's going to teach you how to take your ejaculation control to the next level. A lot of modern men lack presence and confidence. They lack determination, decisiveness, and assertiveness. And women feel this. Women want a man who feels like he's in control, a man who feels strong, who feels centered and cool. And when they feel a man's strength, when they feel his inability to be moved and pushed off his center by minor inconveniences from conflicts and even catastrophes in life, they'll feel turned on by this man. So let me start with an important concept, which is the presence of your mind equals energy. What I mean by this is that your mind has a location. The mind and the body are interacting. They're always interacting. Your mind is always centered in some region of your body. And that region of the body tends to become more energized. The problem that most humans in general, but especially modern men have, is that they're stuck up in their heads. When you're stuck up in your head, you're stuck in this mode of analysis and problem solving, which means that you think too much. You're always strategizing and trying to solve problems and be like, well, what do I need to do in this situation? Who do I need to be to please this person? And this is where a lot of, we could say, nice guy behavior and people pleasing patterns stem from, is you're simply stuck in your head. And usually it's because there was some past experience that led to pain. You want to feel in control. So we tend to get up in our heads, always trying to analyze the outside world and well, if I do this and this and this, and this may happen. So if I do this, then that won't happen. This is the biggest drain of your vitality. We don't even really need to understand why it's there, okay? We just need to understand, what do we do instead? Now there's different regions of areas that you can have your awareness in. And we could say where people are kind of centered within their body. It says a lot about who they are in some ways, but also this is something that changes from moment to moment. And when you choose to bring your mind and your location and your breath into a different region of the body, it's going to change your experience of the moment that you're in, your experience of the world around you, and it's also going to change how other people perceive you. And if you want a woman to feel turned on by you, then pay attention, okay? And obviously the body's much more nuanced than this, but I just chose 3 points to kind of talk about, because in Taoist practice, we have the 3 Dantians, and there's somewhat of an overlap here. And what's much better than being completely in your head is being in your heart center of your chest. Now this is the area of feeling and love, which, love's a beautiful thing. Love is the binding, connecting force of the universe. It's the neutral force binding all things together. Of course, true unconditional love, which is that binding force, is different than romantic love, which is just a polarity. But anyways, so the heart space is great. But the problem is that there's a lot of men who are only in their heart center, and they have a lot of love. That's great, that's fantastic. But they tend to be extremely emotional. When you're all heart, you're all emotion. And being pure emotion is a much more feminine state. The feminine state is that of unpredictable emotional swings. We've probably all of us have experienced the woman who's, she's completely happy and content one moment, and then over the smallest thing, she's turned into this hurricane of emotional volatility. You're like, what the hell did I say? I was trying to comment your dress. What happened there? You know what I mean? And what I've seen is there's a lot of men who are like this too. They're just over emotional, over feeling essentially. They're too touchy-feely. And this makes them very unstable. They have no control over themselves, their emotions, and they're constantly dumping their feelings on everyone around them. Women do not find this very attractive, from my experience. It took me years and years to realize that a woman doesn't want an over-emotional man. Now, it's not to say that you should be this stoic robot with zero feeling. That's not it either. But what I'm trying to say is when you're only able to be here in the heart center, you're still not rooted enough to really get your ideal masculine potential, as far as I'm concerned. So let's talk about, the belly area, the abdomen, the lower dantian, and the genitals, of course, the sexual center. This is your center of being, pure being. It's a physical being. I'm alive. I'm here and I'm in my body. I simply am. I'm here. I'm in this body, I'm alive. That's basically it, right? This is the space of desire and just pure being. And guess what? This is where your masculine power comes from. Because when you're in your balls, you are more rooted. You're not over analytical monkey mind trying to please people around you, trying to say the right things. You're not excessively touchy-feely and over emotional. You're just there. You're like the mountain, okay? You're just there. You're gonna be there tomorrow. You're gonna be there a week from now. You're predictable, you're stable, solid. That is masculinity, in my opinion. That's a big principle of it, is this solidity. I think the biggest challenge for men in dating, in sex, in career, just in being alive and in the world, is self-doubt. Self-doubt, which tends to arise from this over-analytical, it goes deeper than that, I think, but in a very practical sense, it comes from being broken down in the past, very often. From our parents, from our teachers, exes, whatever it is. Something's kind of beating you down a little bit. You feel doubtful. It's this feeling of there's something inherently wrong with me. A lot of this comes from having a little too much emotion and too much analytical thinking. When we can just get down into, you know what, I don't need to think about things. I don't need to solve problems. I don't need to be concerned about whatever the trending news story is this week of the terrible thing that happened or the thing we should all be afraid of, blah, 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 the thing I'm supposed to argue over people with. I don't care about all that shit. I'm just here. I am in the world. I'm in my body. The sky above me is blue. There's this green grass beneath my feet. And I'm just here. I don't need to think about anything. I don't need to sort through all these things. I just am here, okay? That's the state. When you're in your balls, you're just here. All your energy being up in your head, up in your upper center, it dries up your sexual vitality. So the solution to this, self-doubt, overthinking, nervousness, whether it's, anxiety around women, performance anxiety, social anxiety, all this stems from just being too much up here. So when you can just get down here, all that goes away. Your mind quiets down and you are just here. The simplest way to do this is to breathe into your balls. Because the easiest way to get out of the monkey mind, to get out of anxiety, out of worry, etc., is to give your mind something to do, something physical within your body. So you give it a task of, hey, let's breathe. Let's breathe in a certain way. And let's anchor our awareness in a certain location in our body, all right? So you just breathe into your balls, okay? And practically what this looks like, put your hands on your belly. Feel your belly, breathe. Fill that belly up, let it expand. Exhale. Let the belly pull in. Breathe, fill up the belly, and think of breathing low into your pelvic floor and into your balls, filling it up. Exhale. Fill the belly, pull back in, but keep your awareness in your balls and in your pelvic floor. So as you inhale, you fill up the belly and you actually inflate your pelvic floor. It pushes into your balls. Notice how your mind feels. Hopefully you're doing this with me right now. Notice how your mind, your mental state, your emotional state changes as you do this. You don't have time, you don't have mental capacity to think and to feel excessively, because you just are. You're breathing. And what happens is, keep breathing in your balls, okay? As you're doing this, the mind starts to wander often. And before you know it, you've lost your practice. You're back in the head. So it becomes this constant feedback of, how are you doing? Are you present? Are you grounded? Or are you up in the clouds again, worrying about imaginary things that aren't even happening? And something else you can also play with is adding a little bit of maybe it's like a humming or a bit of like a growl or as simple as like a on the exhale. So you inhale, breathe into your balls, exhale. Make it low, make it guttural almost. Congratulations. You've just breathed into your balls. Now you're feeling your balls for the first time, okay? And guess what? They're gonna wake back up. But here's the catch. You gotta do this consistently. So you can be breathing like this 24/7. It's like, if I'm awake, I'm breathing into my balls, is the idea. Another interesting thing here is that a lot of us retract our awareness and our breath from our genitals. I think probably because of early conditioning, a lot of the shame and uncomfortable ideas around our genitals, so we withdraw from them. And of course, this is gonna lead to sexual dysfunction, low vitality, low libido, low testosterone. So bringing our awareness and our breath back into our sexual center, it brings life back into it. Once again, presence of mind equals energy. So you bring your presence of mind low into your balls, and they become energized. So use this. Again, 24/7 is ideal, but at least when you need it, okay? You could set like a reminder on your phone, like, hey, 10 minutes a day, I sit or I walk, whatever, I stand, lay down, I don't care, and I breathe into my balls. Very focused practice. It's great. And you can use this, maybe you're in a social situation, you're going into a meeting, or you're going into a job interview, you have a date with a woman, you're getting intimate with your current partner. Start breathing into your balls, and it will pull you into the state of presence. And you maintain it. You can breathe like this during sex, and it will really up-level both your ejaculation control and your experience of sexual pleasure. Breath is everything. When your mind's up in your head, you're thinking, worrying, it means you have lost your breath. So you come back to the breath, bring it low, and this will animate you, ground you from the bottom up. Fantastic. And just notice that people will respond to you a bit differently when you're in this state. Like this was something super interesting I experimented with, was like I would breathe like this when I'm interacting with people, just casual conversation, whatever. But when I'm centered in my balls, there's almost this discomfort, like, oh, I'm not supposed to be down here. I'm in public. It's not like I'm naked or something, but I just thought that was a very interesting thing. There's that feeling of like vulnerability, this is inappropriate. But when I would just do it, just like, okay, I'm just gonna breathe through my balls as I'm having a conversation with someone, I felt so much more open in a certain sense. Like I felt like we were connecting deeper because I wasn't in my head thinking about what am I supposed to say to this person? What do they think of me? No, just in my balls. I'm just here. And I was a lot more spontaneous and present with it. Very interesting. And women will respond to you differently when you're breathing in this way around them. So try it out. Now you know how to breathe into your balls, and you are now a man. Congratulations. And a quick note here, there is a practice in sexual kung fu called testicle breathing, which is a bit different from this. This is just a very basic breathe into your balls practice. Testicle breathing is actually an energy circulation practice, which kind of takes us to a next level, but it's something different. So now what I want you to do is to watch another video I made where I explain some of these psychological factors that will help you to massively improve your ejaculation control. It really builds on what you learned in this video and is directly applicable to sex to overcome performance anxiety and really enjoy yourself with your partner sexually. So put a link to that video. If you have a friend who has no balls, feel free to send this video to him. Help a brother out. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, and have a great day, my friend.